Hey there, in this video I'm going to show you how to sew your own cording, which is also known as piping or welt in upholstery. So let's do it. For this project I've cut 3 cording strips and now I need to connect them together. I could just sew them together with a 90-degree seam like this, but then I end up with a lot of bulk in one spot on the cording. So instead I'm going to stitch a bias seam to minimize that bulk. First I lay them end to end to be sure they're right side up to each other and that the pattern's aligned the way I want it. Here I've drawn some reference lines so you can see about where the seam will be on each piece. I place the strips together perpendicular to each other and draw a line across the bottom edge of the 2 ears. To remember which direction to draw that line, I always think of puppy dog ears that are always together, never split apart. I'll pin it and do a quick check to see how they match up, then I'll go ahead and stitch along that line. To minimize bulk, I'll open the seam and also cut off the excess to within a ½ inch of the seam. Now you're ready to sew your cording. I recommend the Upholstery welt cording, which is the easiest to work with and gives you the best looking result. 5/32 is a good standard size to use. So you have your cording strip that you've sewn together and you're going to wrap that around the cording. Then wrap the cording strip around the cord, and I just put a couple of pins in the beginning where I'm going to start to sew. Then I just use my fingers as I'm sewing to snug the fabric as tightly as possible up against the cording to prevent puckering. You might find it easiest to pin the entire strip, especially if this is your first cording. When you get to your connecting seams, be sure that you open up your seam allowance as you wrap it around the cording. This is a good spot to pin just because it can be a challenge to sew through the extra bulk here. I like to leave those little ears too so that I can see where the seam is as I'm sewing it onto the cushion. I'll demonstrate here stitching your cording with the zipper foot. As you begin your seam, you can position your needle on either side of the foot. The main concern here is to get your seam as tight up against the cording as you can, and also to keep your 2 edges as even as possible as you stitch. You can see here where the top edge is trying to creep over and I'm pulling it back with the tweezers. If you have pins, this won't be as much of a problem. If you end up with puckers, just smooth them from the center outward. This is where it can be handy to leave some extra cording hanging out at each end to take up that extra fabric length you're going to have as you smooth out those puckers. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, be sure to subscribe and let me know in the comments below what you'd like to see in future videos.